The Palisades Preserve near Grafton, Illinois, is a conservancy of almost 1,000 acres of protected prairie bluff and upland forest located on magnificent limestone bluffs overlooking the Mississippi River. The story of how this ecosystem was preserved for posterity is one of hard work, compromise, and collaboration among a number of partners united in the desire to preserve and protect a precious natural resource. The preserve is located near the confluence of three great rivers, the Mississippi, Missouri, and Illinois. It is rare to find three rivers of this importance and magnitude in such close proximity. America's greatest river, the Mississippi, has had a major impact on the nation's history and economic development. Flowing through the heart of America, it provides fresh water for millions of inhabitants and a navigation channel of great importance to the country's transportation system. The combined watershed of the Mississippi, Illinois, and Missouri rivers encompasses 1.2 million square miles and drains 41% of the continental United States. 84 million people reside in the combined watershed of the three great rivers. More than 260 species of fish make the Mississippi and its tributaries their home. And 60% of all North American birds use the Mississippi River Basin as a migratory flyway. The importance of large rivers and their adjacent wetlands is increasingly evident as rapidly growing human populations and advancing development continue to encroach on the ecosystems these rivers help sustain.
It's important to set aside large tracts of natural undeveloped land for the future of the environment. These tracts provide habitat for native plants and animals. They also provide a nesting and breeding ground for native and for migratory birds. These large tracts are also essential to the community as a whole in that it provides clean drinking water, fresh air, and a reconnection to the natural areas and makes it a more livable and active community.
The preserve underscores the importance of preserving what is called the viewshed and conserving the underlying integrity of the ecosystem it supports. It exemplifies responsible land use for communities faced with expanding development and its often negative consequences.
There were a number of organizations involved with this important project. The Palisades Project has been a priority for the Great Rivers Land Trust for a number of years. The Land Trust is one of 1,700 such organizations across the country working to protect special attributes of their communities. The Conservation Fund was brought in to help the Great Rivers Land Trust with this transaction. We helped them negotiate, design, and finance the project.
While the Great Rivers Land Trust and the Conservation Fund were the primary participants in negotiations to acquire the property from the landowner, Adams Development Company, other organizations played an important role in making this transaction happen. The Lewis and Clark Community College Foundation and the National Great Rivers Research and Education Center helped facilitate the negotiations and provided expert advice on the design and ways to manage and make effective use of the preserve. The Lewis and Clark Community College Foundation will own the preserve, and the Great Rivers Land Trust will retain a conservation easement on the property. The National Great Rivers Research and Education Center will maintain and manage the site. The limestone bluffs on the edge of the preserve are themselves magnificent to behold and offer visitors imposing views of the nearby confluence of the Mississippi and Illinois rivers and the surrounding watershed with its extensive plant and animal habitats.
This is a spectacular landscape. The 15 miles between Alton and Grafton is the only place along the Mississippi River where the Great River Road runs between the river and these 150-foot limestone bluffs that dominate our landscape. This area is important culturally, historically, and ecologically. The exposed limestone bluffs date back 250 million years, and they get older as you move up the river. Ecologically, this area is important for migrating birds, threatened plants and animals, including western and eastern prickly pear cactus. The property is located in the largest flyway in North America, so it's very important for migrating birds, and it provides extensive habitat for bald eagles and other threatened wildlife.
Land trust projects such as the Palisades Preserve not only protect, but in some cases restore local ecosystems like hill prairies. They also help preserve the natural corridors animals and plants need as they migrate or shift location in search of suitable habitats with sufficient food, water, and shelter. With its own extensive habitats, the preserve is an ideal site for ecosystem research and education. The National Great Rivers Research and Education Center, a partnership of the University of Illinois, Lewis and Clark Community College, and the Illinois Natural History Survey, will conduct and oversee research and education on the preserve.
We have a world-class internship program. They come from all over the United States and throughout the world now. About 30 interns on the river working directly with our scientists. And then, of course, we have this new National Great Rivers Field Station, a world-class facility for the study of great rivers.
Our first task is to conduct an inventory of the site. Then we'll evaluate the stresses on the site to determine what kinds of restoration might be necessary, what types of preservation. And finally, we'll want to include an education and research plan as a part of the overall planning for the site.
There's a joint management plan between Great Rivers Land Trust and the National Great Rivers Research and Education Center for the future of the property. The Great Rivers Land Trust is retaining a conservation easement on the land, and then we're passing the title on to the Lewis and Clark Community College Foundation. The Lewis and Clark Community College Foundation, in cooperation with the National Great Rivers Research and Education Center, will then manage and steward the property for the long term. It's also the future plan to enroll the property into the Illinois Nature Preserve program. This gives it a higher level of legal protection, plus it'll provide future opportunities for garnering funds for the management of the property for the long term.
I think the Palisades Preserve shows an example for the nation, really, of how organizations can come together and preserve a natural habitat that's unique in the world and keep that habitat there and protected from development and encroachment. The cooperation of all the organizations really ensures that these ecosystems will flourish for generations to come.
If you would like to learn more about the Palisades Preserve, please contact either the National Great Rivers Research and Education Center or Great Rivers Land Trust.